Hello, welcome to Not Just Books, the Williamson County Public Library's monthly show about what is happening in the Williamson County community and the library. My name is Dolores Greenwald and I am the director. Today on our Your World segment, we have Garen Harper. He's Vice President of Research with the Nashville Chamber of Commerce, and he's going to be talking about a recent research project and study that we did for the library. Also, we have with us Stacy Parrish, children's staff and extraordinaire, and also terrific book advisor, and she's going to be talking about Children's Book Awards. So if you have kids, you want to stay tuned to that. And also, last but not least, we have Lindsay Roseberry, reference librarian, who will be talking about the eclipse coming up soon. So you want to stay tuned for that. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We are very pleased to have with us today Garen Harper, Vice President of Research with the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. He has as many letters behind his name almost as the alphabet does, but he's very, very interested in providing ROI studies or return on investment studies for libraries and other organizations. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to be talking specifically about a return on investment study you did for Williamson County Public Library, which is available on our website. So what did you find from the research?
Certainly. Well, it was a real pleasure for our research center, our staff, to have the opportunity to take a look at what the role of libraries is. Really, it was twofold. It was to look at the economic return and also inquire about other issues regarding patrons, users, and their experiences with library. On the economic side, we found very, very positive returns. Probably the most fundamental was that for every dollar invested in the library system in Williamson County, there's a $4 return back to the economy of the county.
What about some of the other key findings that you discovered?
Right. Well, certainly the return back was a very powerful one. Serving over 200,000 persons in the county, we found that there's a $38 plus market value to every resident of the county of the holdings and the offerings of the system. We also, on the experience side, asked questions regarding the delivery of the library on the services, its mission, and on a 10-point scale, that was well over a 9 out of over 1,500 respondents in our process.
Awesome. Besides that being a surprising element, what were some of the other things that surprised you about the study?
Well, just as we think maybe of the traditional role of libraries, and certainly 9 out of 10 of the persons that we engaged with in that conversation said that they sought out libraries as a place for reading, for learning, for civic skills. But then there was another quarter of the population that said they're seeking it out to engage with performances and with the arts, and others, another quarter, who said to be directly involved with community activities in the libraries.
And that's very interesting, because that is some of the new best practices for public libraries these days. Performances and learning about the arts and collaboration space and that sort of thing. One of the things that surprised me was that how many people read our e-blast, our e-news blast that we send out every week. That and the website were some of the more popular ways people found out about our programs.
That's right. And of course, Williamson County, with the growth that it experiences, both longtime residents as well as newcomers, a great way for them to be attached to community, to learn about the library and access it and all that's going on there.
And how do you look at it from your research point? How big is the library's economic impact?
Well, I think when we consider an economic impact study of this type, it's really powerful to see that a $4 return back for every dollar invested. Since the libraries are a public good, individuals aren't paying for services typically, in almost all cases. There's an ability to ask them, would there be a willingness to pay, and then judge back on that there is a powerful return back in terms of that economic impact. So it's a special process, and one that we've found really to be a strong validation of what's going on in the system.
Another thing I found out that was interesting, because I was just reviewing this study as I was planning for this interview, is that people didn't mind paying fines.
Right. There's a value at many levels.
That was really interesting. I appreciated that when I saw that on the survey. Now, we've done this study, and it's very beneficial for the library, and it's very complimentary of the library. So now what's our next step? How can we use this information and give it to the community?
Certainly. It offers a number of opportunities. One, simply in awareness that there is this role that the libraries play. There's the invitation then to those that may be less familiar with all that the library is doing to learn about it through the study. And then it has the opportunity for generating new ideas for individuals and organizations that may want to engage with it in terms of programming, attendance, and uses of the facilities and of the services that the library provides.
Well, we have a lot of quality of life nonprofit organizations here in Williamson County, and it is oftentimes, because there are so many, it's kind of hard to get attention from all these other ones. So would you recommend other nonprofits, even though, not necessarily libraries, do these kind of studies as well?
It certainly is. It validates the role that an organization or an institution plays in a community, and in instances like this where it may not be the traditional for-profit or even a very unique institution like the library, there are always a variety of ways to come at that economic impact and contribution understanding.
Now without getting too technical, what was your methodology with this?
Right. Because it's a public good, we use methodology referred to as contingent valuation or willingness to pay that poses questions of a hypothetical nature to the users and the patrons, and that across a whole array of programs and services that the library offers, and what would be the various levels that persons would be willing to pay for that. And then to establish that, in this case over 1,500 respondents, is a way to say this is what this would mean if it were a for-profit institution and what that return would look like.
What were some of the particular issues or activities within the library system that we should be thinking about for the future?
Well, it just ran across the gamut. It was wonderful to see how cross-generational and cross-interest the library and its services are. And in regard to other users of the library, organizations thinking about the facilities, the libraries and their ability to offer resources for entrepreneurs, for genealogists, for teens, for children, those that are interested in the arts and performance. There really are few institutions and organizations that run that gamut. So the opportunities are so wide open in terms of that embrace out to the rest of the communities in the county. And
I totally agree with that, and that's one of the reasons why I love this profession so much, is that we provide services in all different ranges and all different age groups, and it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile.
It certainly is.
Well, thank you for coming and talking with me today and telling our viewers about the study. And if you would like to know more about the study, you can go to our website, wcpltn.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dolores.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back. And today we are very privileged to have with us Stacy Parrish, one of our children's department employees extraordinaire.
Oh, stop
and
it.
one of our regulars on the show, because I keep bringing her back to talk about different stuff. So thank you, Stacy, for joining us today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Today we're going to be talking about Children's Book Awards, which is very important information for parents who are looking for materials for their kids to read, maybe a particular interest that their kids developing, you know.
Right.
So let's talk about that. First, we're going to talk about the Volunteer Book State Awards.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about the background of that and some of the recent winners.
Well, the Volunteer State Book Award, of course, is a local one since Tennessee is the volunteer state. What sets that apart from some of the other awards is that children are actually allowed a voice in the things that are chosen for that. Also, school teachers, school librarians, etc. Lots of folks get a vote. And it's split into 4 different divisions: a lower elementary, higher elementary, middle school, and high school. And several choices each year, usually about 10 or 12 selections within that. And a lot of the schools use that for their suggested reading lists for the summer. So
when do they usually come out? When does the list usually come
the
out?
next year's list is already out. It just came out about 3 weeks ago, I think. So we've got the current ones that were selected last year this time.
Well, that's a very good way if you want to prevent your children from the summer slides, as they call it.
Exactly, yes.
To look at this list and see what would spark interest among them. So tell us a little, you brought some show and tell here.
I did. And this, since we started off with the VSBA, this was this year's Volunteer State Book Award winner, the book with no pictures, which is really a unique thing because you think about younger children, you know, being more engaged with visual rather than verbal. But this one is, it's a lot of fun.
It is, and it's fun for adults. It's that adults react
because
to
it's
it on
different.
a totally
It's
different
not,
level because it's different.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so this probably has become one of those that in many households, read that one to me, read that one to me. You know how kids get fixated on
It's
one.
also got silly words in it, which is kids love. Kids love those silly words.
Yes, silly but not inappropriately silly like some of the other materials that librarians do not like.
Well, that's great. That's great. And tell us a little bit about the Caldecott Awards.
The Caldecott Award this year and the Caldecott Awards, of course, as you know, are for illustrations. Newbery for prose, Caldecott for the pictures, the art. This year's is Radiant Child, the story of young artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. And it's just, I mean, it's just a lovely, lovely book. I'll flip through some random pages here. The illustrations are just phenomenal.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. So this one was selected at this spring's ALA, American Library Association Conference.
Yes, this one is sponsored by American Library Association, and it's been done for many, many, many years.
Since the 20s, I think.
And then the Volunteer Awards for the state is through the Tennessee State Library
Right.
Association.
Yep.
So that's just a beautiful book.
It really is. It really is. And interesting subject matter too. You know, sometimes they can be a little dry, but they just in the past decade or so have gotten just so much more dynamic and interesting and engaging.
Which can sometimes lead to controversy from time to time, but
Well, always. I mean, you're never going to find one thing that makes everybody deliriously happy. There's always going to be that one guy, you know, well, I hate that because they said an almost naughty word in it.
Almost a naughty word. Well, let's talk about the Newbery Awards.
Okay.
So other awards
All
today.
right. And the Newbery Award is, of course, for prose. So these are a little longer, usually chapter books. This year's selection is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. And just a really, really neat story. That a little bit dystopian, which kind of feeds in with the recent pattern of, you know, the series, the Hunger Games series, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But definitely appropriate for younger children, not scary or gritty or weird or anything like that.
Now, we were talking about series a minute ago. This is not part of a series, is
No,
it?
this is a
Okay.
standalone.
Do they ever pick series books?
I don't know. That is a what you would know the answer to that better
I
than
was
I would.
going to say, I don't know that I have ever.
I
I've
can't
never
think of
found a
anything.
series
Most
book,
of them
but
are standalone.
I'd have to go back and look at the whole list,
Right,
but
right. Now some of the VSBA are in a series,
Yeah.
and some of them not
Yes.
even the first one in the series, which is kind of interesting to me.
huh?
Yep.
Well, that's also a very eye-catching cover as well, and the title is interesting.
It is. Kind of the synopsis of the story is there are two communities, and then they're divided by a forest. And every year, one of the communities, I hate to use the word sacrifice, they leave a baby, a child, in the forest to appease the witch that lives in the forest. But turns out the witch is a good witch, and she always rescues these children, these babies left there, and finds good homes for them at the other community, at the other end of the forest.
Oh, how fun!
But this one year, she accidentally, instead of feeding starlight to the child, she feeds moonlight to the child, hence the girl who drank the moon. And then it becomes apparent to her that this is her daughter, that the child
wow.
will stay with her forever
Oh,
and not
wow.
be given to another family.
Wow,
So it's really, really cool story.
that's a different. It's a different kind of story. That's
Yes,
pretty
definitely, and probably why she won the award.
Good. Now, how popular with kids? You said that with the volunteer awards that, you know, kids are involved with selecting these. How popular are these books with the kids when they win awards?
Insanely popular. We can't keep them on the shelves. There is a waiting list, usually 5 or 10 deep, especially for the titles for the middle school, the upper elementary school and the middle school grades.
And we get the list every year, so it's a very good way for parents to keep their kids involved in books and reading and that sort of thing.
Exactly. And like I said, most of the Williamson County schools and a lot of the Franklin Special District schools use them as their assigned reading lists over the summer.
Now, one of the ways to get the books, if they're come to the library, if they're on the shelf, take it with
Yep.
you. If it's not on the shelf, we can always
Download it to your Kindle, your Nook, your iPad,
That's
whatever
right.
you got.
That's right. That's right. Or if you want the print, you can put it on hold. There's
Absolutely,
numerous ways
yes.
that we can help you
And
out.
we do have multiple copies of them, so I kind of made it sound like the waiting list was insanely long and excruciating. It usually turns over pretty quickly.
Well, we have so many copies, that helps too.
Right, definitely.
Well, thank you for coming and talking to
You're
us
so
again
welcome.
today.
Thank you for having
You're
me.
just multi-versed in all these different topics. That's why you're so popular to come on the show.
Well, if I don't know the answer, I make something up.
Well, thank you, Stacy.
You're
And we'll be
welcome.
right back. Welcome back. I am so pleased to have with us today Lindsay Roseberry from the main library. She's one of our reference librarians, and she has been on the show several times to talk about various topics. And today we're going to talk about the August Eclipse. This is why we have these cool little glasses with us. So, what are we doing to kind of celebrate this eclipse, Lindsay?
Well, we're lucky that Nashville is one of the biggest cities on the path of the eclipse. So the Nashville area will be able to see the full totality, which is what they call when it's completely black, completely dark. And Franklin will be on the outskirts. We won't see complete totality, but we will see a nice part of the eclipse.
Wow.
So, and Nashville has got a hashtag. They've got it on their website. One of my colleagues, Marcia, said that you should see it. They have a song list like there's no sunshine when she's gone, different things like that. They got this big song list of all this sun and light, and it's on their website for Visit Music City, and you can check under them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So when is our save the date for the eclipse?
Well, we had a program on July the 14th, which was well attended, and we gave out free glasses. But the eclipse itself is August the 21st, and I have here a list. And in Nashville, in the Nashville area, it's going to start at 11:58 a.m. And the totality begins at 1:27, so it's going to take a little while to get to full totality, and it's going to last for 2 minutes. And then the eclipse will end at 2:54. So it's going to take from maybe several hours.
Okay. So what is some of the best ways the experts on this kind of topic say to view the eclipse? Besides the glasses, we know we should have glasses.
Well, there is the way you can get like a pinhole and newspaper, pinhole and cardboard, and kind of view it on the ground. And there was the old shoebox trick for a long time ago. But I think most people are just trying to get the glasses. We've had more and more calls about that, and never any calls about how other ways you can find it. And the glasses are not that expensive, and they're probably the safest for you. But if you, and we have plenty, we're going to be giving them all out until the 21st or until they run out. So we have a couple of books. One is called The Eclipse, Journeys to the Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, I like that title.
Yes, and this was specifically about why eclipses happen, their role in history, literature and myth. Unfortunately, it was out.
Oh.
So I can't have it with me.
Well, everybody put that on your reading list if you want to.
And the other one is called American Eclipse, and that's kind of the different times that we've had eclipse here and all the races for people trying to get to the right spot to view the eclipse. But a little bit of information in case someone doesn't know. The eclipse is the moon passes between the sun and the earth and blocks all the light out. And I do remember in 1979 there was a partial eclipse, I remember I was in the country and the roosters crowed because they thought it was dark.
Because it was dark?
Yeah.
Ah,
so, oh, and one thing, if you are going to be lucky enough to be where you can see the totality, the complete eclipse, they are saying that you wear your glasses up until there's an entire darkness, and then you can take the glasses off, and then you won't need them. But you have to have them up until then.
because the total, I guess if you can see the whole thing, when it's totally dark, it's going to be for quite a while, right?
Yeah. And there is this little thing that I gave to, we have the screenshot that I gave to the TV station. There's a partial eclipse, then there's something called Bailey's beads, and then there's a diamond ring, which means there's one little spot here, and then the totality is glasses off, and then the final stage is you have to put your glasses back on.
Oh.
So I do have a screenshot of that, and it tells you all the different progressive states that you need to have glasses on or not.
But now this type of eclipse is only not very frequently.
Well, you know, I thought that as well, but it seems that there are solar eclipses at least twice a year, and partial and full, twice a year around the world. This is the first one that's been the first solar eclipse that's been visible for all of North America for a very long time.
Oh, okay, that's the uniqueness of it. Okay.
Yes. First solar eclipse crossing the continental U.S. in 99 years. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, huge eclipse.
Huge, yes, a huge eclipse and a big deal. Let's see, I've got a couple of pieces of information here. One thing I did find that the last time it went over, the eclipse was over the Nashville area was in the 1400s. I don't know who knows that.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this: so many people have smartphones. Are there any kind of apps that you can use to help you track this?
Yes, I found that there are at least 3. One is called Solar Eclipse 2017, and that's available from the App Store. I checked the App Store this morning, and I checked online to see what the apps were last night.
Okay.
And there's an Eclipse tracker, which shows you each incremental section.
That would be interesting.
And Smithsonian has an Eclipse app, which looks very sophisticated and gives you all the answers you need. And I think you said you noticed that there was a NASA app.
There was, well, I saw on NASA's website where they were showing some ways, the old cardboard.
Yes.
You know, some of the ways to see it, but and it was usually, I think the material was items that you would normally have at home.
Right. Yeah.
So
definitely check out nasa.org, probably .gov, probably. Anyway, yes, the last time the contiguous United States saw a total eclipse was in 1979. So I did remember that.
Well, very good.
One quick thing, I wanted to say that keep an eye out for the blog, because Billy Teets will be, Dr. Billy Teets, who gave our program on July the 14th, and from Vanderbilt Dyer Observatory, is going to be writing a blog for us about the eclipse. With information about how to view it yourself, get the glasses safely.
And some of our bloggers on the staff may add to that too.
We might.
That's
never know.
interesting, like Lindsay's one of our bloggers. So.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say thanks, a big shout out to those people, those organizations who have given us these glasses.
Yes, thank you very much.
Dyer Observatory is bringing some for the people for the program, and we will have some left over from them. The Barnard Seifert Astronomical Society from MTSU has given us some, and we also got involved in a grant with the Space Science Institute, and they gave us some as well.
Very good.
So actually they said that this eclipse is so popular that the link went up to find the libraries, and it went viral, and I've been getting phone calls from New Hampshire about whether we can get glasses. So it's a big deal, and it's going to be a very popular thing.
Yes, thank you. And to watch our blog and other information that we have about the eclipse, our website is
wcpltn.org.
Thank you so much. And everybody, enjoy the eclipse.
And come by and get your free glasses.
And we'll be right back.
A lifetime of investigating our universe has given me a special appreciation for the amazing life here on planet Earth. And most of that life depends on healthy soil. Farming methods that nurture soil microbes and improve soil health may be the key to a sustainable future for all of us. We can reach for the stars, but we must cherish the soil. Learn more at nrcs.usda.gov.
Thanks again for joining us today. And I would like to say a very special thank you to all of our guests: Garen Harper, Vice President of Research with the Nashville Chamber of Commerce; Lindsay Roseberry, Reference Librarian with the Main Library at Williamson County Public Library; also Stacy Parrish, Children's Staff, and also works at the Main Library on Columbia Avenue, Williamson County Public Library. And thank them so much for coming today. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at WCPLTN. And also let us know about topics that you might want to explore for the show, or comments. And it's not just books at williamson-tn.org. And until next time, explore your world and read.